Like it or not, your brand story is already out there. Like Scott Cook said, a brand is no longer what we tell consumers it is, but what consumers tell each other it is. Obviously, then, it is imperative that you, as the creative small business owner, have a say in what your brand narrative is. But if you're not out there and testing both the signature brand stories that you should have back-pocketed, we'll talk about those, but also any mini stories from day-to-day life, if you're not testing those in leads, angles, and hooks these days, you're missing out. So in this video, I am going to give you a quick rundown on crafting your own signature brand story, and I'm going to give you some brand storytelling examples in action so you can swipe them for your files. Let's go. If we haven't met, my name is Ashlyn Carter. I'm a conversion copywriter for creatives, and if you've ever heard the concept that you need to know your brand story before, and you've thought, that sounds great, I have no idea what that actually tactically means in my business, then hit the like button. If you're just excited anyway, hit the like button, and if you want to be in on the loop when these videos launch every single week, hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it. Okay, so when I work with clients and students, we're typically trying to identify 3 signature brand stories that I believe all creative entrepreneurs should have back-pocketed at all times. So when you think brand story, let's think of these as little chapters, and I want you to have at least these 3 chapters ready to go. Number 1, your origin story. How is it that you fell in love with what it is you do? I laughed when my friend Jenna once told me that somebody had commented under an Instagram post she put up, take a shot every time Jenna mentions her $300 Craigslist camera. But it's part of her story to being a photographer that she said so much that her audience has it memorized, and that's a good thing. So that's your first one, your origin story. Then I want you to tell me number 2, your aha story. How is it that you saw that gap in the market and said, aha, I can help with that? You saw a need, you realized you could fill it. And number 3, I want you to have a testimonial or a transformational story that your dream client or customer can see themselves in. Now, this can be a testimonial or a transformation from a client or a customer you've worked with, but it could also be something that you've done in life that they can see themselves reflected in. So you're plotting and gathering these signature brand stories, but as you're spitting them back out to me, hi, your reader, you have to do so in a way that makes me the star of the show. Because when you and I move around in daily life out there, we're looking at everything through being the hero of our own journey. Naturally, people think marketers are out to separate a fool from their money, so we are looking out for number 1 when we're reading and coming in contact with any type of marketing, right? Well, not positioning that reader as the star of the show or as the hero is where a lot of people mess up, so let's get into these tips. Creation tip number 1, always drop me in the middle of the rising action. Whatever the storytelling vehicle is, whether it is a landing page, an email sequence, email number 1, I don't care. An Instagram caption, drop me in the middle of the rising action. So I have a 21-month-old, and last night we were reading books in his room, and he grabbed one of those 5-page cardboard books off the shelf, and he goes to his favorite page, the page where Max falls on the playground. Again, he's so young, not even 2, and he can go to that page because he loves saying, oh no, and then seeing what happens. I watched that last night and thought, that is so interesting. The book obviously has a wind up, but he wants to go where the good stuff starts. A story simply means that it has a story arc, right? The beginning, the middle, and the end. I'm going to keep unpacking this, but I love this quote from Eugene Schwartz. He said, if your first thought holds him, he'll read the second. If the second holds him, he'll read the third. And if the third thought holds him, then he'll probably read all the way through your ad. Basically, when you're communicating a signature brand story or just a little anecdote to me, I don't want you to wind up forever and ever and keep slinging your arm around. I just want you to throw me the ball, pitch me the story. So what does this look like actually in action? Well, first up, let's visit a cocktail party where I need to introduce myself to you. So if you ask me how I started my business, I'm not going to wind up and back up so far that I'm going to start telling you about college and journalism school. You probably don't really care. In fact, I know you don't. That's why I'm going to drop you in the middle of the rising action. I'm going to say I noticed a lot of creative small business owners that were so passionate about their craft and their art, but they had no idea how to figure out the right words to actually market and sell. So Ashlyn Writes comes in to help people just like that figure out how to make more money with their words, whether it's through done-for-you copywriting services or educational tools where we teach you how to fish yourself. Now, as that conversation goes on and I've earned it over time, maybe you want to find more out about the backstory, but notice I didn't lead with that. It's like when you hear a good speaker, and my speaking coach actually taught me this, sometimes the best thing to do is just start off in the middle of the story, confuse your audience a little, they'll hang with you because they're wondering where you're going, and eventually you'll pull into the point you're trying to make. One more example of this I want you to see, because you can absolutely use this in email copywriting. In fact, if you're on my email list, I do this all the dang time. I did it on an email I sent out this past week. I just start right away, start in the rising action, catch them up as they read, but you gotta get out there and get their interest to even get them to keep reading. Brand story creation tip number 2, step out of the spotlight. So American scholar Joseph Campbell's 1949 book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces, is something that's impacted you even if you haven't heard of it before. Essentially, he shaped a pattern of narrative that has gone on to shape so many screenwriters' approach to creating films and drafting scripts. George Lucas has even said it influenced Star Wars, and Campbell was kind of an odd guy, but the hero's journey concept, which again you've probably heard of, is one thing he nailed. If you haven't, in a nutshell, the hero's journey describes this. It's the typical adventure of a hero archetype on his or her way to achieving greatness. But how does that correlate to us marketing our art, craft, or services? Essentially what I talked about in the beginning. This storytelling concept, whether it's those signature brand stories or a mini story, has got to look way more like that customer or client or reader being the hero of their story, because again, like I said, they are looking out for number 1. They're looking for someone like you to come in and assist them on their path to greatness. And it relates to your copy because a good story doesn't usually ever have 2 heroes. And if they see you in there hogging the spotlight and being the hero, they're just going to go on their way where they can find somewhere where they do fit in. So how does this relate back to those signature brand stories we've talked about? Your origin, your aha, and that transformational story, especially if it's about you. Well, when you tell these, it is imperative to make sure that that ideal target audience reader sees themselves reflected in your journey. They have to relate to it. Let me show you a quick example of this done in some ad copy so you can see what I mean. This is a long form ad, but what I wanted to show you specifically, first of all, we just have exactly what I've mentioned about dropping you in the middle of the rising action. So when did everything change for your business? Starts off with a quote. We get into the story, but notice that, and you could pause and read through this. Yes, this is a story about the it's a story about the person that is running the ad. But it is told through a way that the ideal target audience member that's reading this can see themselves in it. Because, like I've said, it is not about you. It's never about you. It's about that target audience member that's reading this. So none of these stories are going to work if you're not using them through the lens of letting that ideal client avatar, whatever you want to call it, see themselves through that, your prospect. They've got to see themselves in the story. So again, you can pause and read this to see how it is an example of that, but I wanted to show you that. And then absolutely, of course, you can see at the beginning, just dropping you in the middle of that rising action. Here's a quick little exercise you can also do for this. You could even hit pause on this video right now and go to a page on your website, any page, and hit Control F. Search for the words I and me and count those, add it up, and then search for the word you. Which one wins is kind of interesting to at least make note of and maybe adjust. If, as we move into tip number 3, you're thinking, wait a minute, I don't even know what my brand voice even sounds like, much less tell stories in it, then look down below. We have the all-new quiz that can help you figure out what your personality says about how your voice is communicated online. You can go to ashlynwrites.com/quiz, or again, look down below. There's that link. Click through those 11 questions, and you'll then get a list of words that describe your likely brand voice, a curated list of resources, characterization help, and more ideas. Which brings me to creation tip number 3. The idea of story does not have to mean long. In essence, anytime as you market your business, you need something to stick, a concept, then I want you to try story, anecdote, or analogy. Again, I've seen with clients and students, sometimes you get so hung up on the idea of story that you're thinking it has to be this really long written essay. No, I'm just talking about 2 lines. If you think about it, most jokes are even stories, right? So why does this all work? Well, storytelling is essentially a few thousands-year-old communications best practice according to anthropologists. Wired magazine even said it is central to human existence. We use story to explain so many things both in our lives and can use it in our businesses. So I wanted to show you a quick example of story, more or less, that you can bake into your work with me or your services page. We use stories to explain everything, both in our lives and should be using it to explain things in our business. So let me show you a quick example of story, more or less, on a work with me, services, or sales page. You could even put the concept I'm about to show you in your homepage or about page. So one thing that story does so well is it simplifies a concept for us. It makes it very palpable, and it's boom, boom, boom in order. Again, beginning, middle, end. Got it. So make sure you're always including a very quick beginning, middle, end story on those work with me pages. At some point, I want you to bring me to where you're showing me at least 3 steps of your process. And I would say try to trim it to 3 steps. Again, I've worked with so many creatives, and I know your process is 8 beautiful steps long and you've got your whole workflow written out. But for sake of selling me simply on the concept, I just want you to break down for me. First we do this, then we do this, then I get what I want. Because remember, I am the hero and the star of the show. Let me flip the camera around and show you a few examples of this from some of my copywriting for creative students that nailed it. I'm going to show you 2 examples of this from the same industry so you can see a little bit back to back what I mean by this. This is 1, 2, 3 steps. This is Kate's, she's a Charleston-based wedding photographer. This is just so great. First, second, third, easy peasy. The next thing that I wanted to show you is this is Courtney's website, and I think that she's working on removing these CTAs, I believe, but this is a great example of it done another way. So Courtney works specifically with elopement photography, so that can be kind of a confusing thing, right? She mentioned specifically, actually yesterday, she said like that is one thing about booking her that people are confused about because they don't really know. There's not a whole lot of information out there about exactly how to have an elopement. So she walks them through that. And now she actually gives 4 steps, which I wanted to show you, 5 steps, which is an option. So if you don't just want to do 3 steps, you can add a couple of more. I would say no more than 5. Like, this is great. This is perfect because it still looks easy peasy, right? So that is what I wanted to show you. Go ahead and carve out some time on the calendar to at least think through figuring out those 3 brand signature stories I told you about, and be sure to go to ashlynwrites.com/quiz so you can get that swipe file ready to go with different adjectives and characterization and tips that can help you shape your brand voice and tone, because that's going to be the vehicle that you then use to curate and tell these stories. If this video helped you today, click that like button. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.